Wow, what a game, everyone. Hello, welcome to Inside the Birds Postgame Live. And man, the Eagles, they made a statement here. Monday Night Football in the opener at the Link. I'm Geoff Mosher with my Inside the Birds co-host, Adam Caplan. And of course, the man right there, Eagles Hall of Fame left tackle, Trey Thomas. We spent 2 hours picking this game apart in the pregame show at Rivers Casino. And everything we said, well, it didn't go out the window, but man, was this a one-sided game that we didn't see coming. Eagles 24, Vikings 7. I like to start the show off with a big picture takeaway. So, Adam, I start with you. Big picture now. What are you thinking about this Eagles team?
Wow, this game, first of all, total dominance. But big picture, some of the things that needed to improve, particularly defensively. Quarterback was brilliant. We'll get into that. But the big picture is, this team is very good if they execute like they should, and they did, and that's why they won.
Very good. They did execute on both sides of the ball, as you mentioned. Trey Thomas, what did you think?
We're going undefeated.
You never pick against them anyway.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? We're going undefeated. I can't see anybody beating this team right now. The way they came out and played tonight, I mean, that was ridiculous. Slay to come out of there with 2 interceptions. They did everything that we were talking about in this game, that you needed the secondary to come out there and be a lot more aggressive, especially with Jefferson. Even when you say, all right, Slay, I'm going to go out there. I have Jefferson. I'm going to hold him down. And to come out of that game with 2 interceptions, he could have had 3. You know, Maddox had 1. I mean, it was just a total dominance. And then to see Jalen Hurts just go out there and do his thing, I think, man, we're going undefeated.
Going undefeated. All right, now I know who that guy is that calls up the radio stations in Philly after every Eagles win and says we're going to win the Super Bowl. Hey, it's overreaction week 2. Sometimes it's overreaction week 1. We've done it week 2. No, man, listen. You're making good points, even with tongue in cheek. Like, my takeaway is this: you've seen 2 teams tried 2 different ways to stop this Eagles offense, right? You saw a team just say, we're selling out and coming after Jalen Hurts. They gave up 31 offensive points, 38 altogether. You saw a team tonight that said, we're going to back things off. We don't want to have them running all over us. We're going to hopefully get a 4-man rush. And he just tore them apart. He chewed them up. The offense chewed them up. And so after 2 games, you can see that this offense and the balance of it is going to cause a whole lot of problems. And I didn't even talk about the defense and the job they did tonight, because that was fantastic too. So this is going to be a difficult team. I agree with you, Trey, to beat. And my only other takeaway would be shame on me, because out of all 3 of us, I'm the only one that picked the Vikings to win this game. So I'll take it on the booze. Come on.
Yeah.
Booze.
How could you? Boo you. Boo. We're going undefeated.
Yeah, no.
We're going to be the best team, like the 72 Miami Dolphins. Only other undefeated team.
Mercury Morris, serve notice right now.
Get those better drink that champagne now.
Exactly.
Yeah. So listen, I mean, the Eagles obviously have Washington. That'll be a division game coming up next week. We'll get into that later on. But just probably, I would say, and you guys can throw in one of their most balanced, dominant wins on both sides of the ball that we've seen in quite a while. And by the way, over a good team. And we can go back to the New Orleans win. That was considered a signature win for them last year, but Trevor Siemian, no Alvin Kamara. I mean, this was a Minnesota Vikings team that came in very healthy and coming off a very impressive win off the Packers that literally just could not get any flow or rhythm going on either side.
Yeah, I would say this. The first half was the story. The second half, all cognitive errors. They made too many mistakes. Penalties were pathetic. But their first half was outstanding. One of the best first halves, not only of Hurts' career, this is the best half he's had, really in almost 2 years. This was just absolutely dominant offensively. The protection was great. Hurts was amazing throwing the football in the first half. They had 41 plays in the first half. Just look at my notes here. The play calling was terrific. I thought Shane Steichen called a phenomenal game. Don't penalize him for the dumb penalties in the second half.
Right.
Some of the mistakes that were made. Hurts had less than 90 yards in the second half, but he had 251 in the first half. We asked for a bomb to Watkins for a shot play. We got that. Overall, it was just magnificent.
Yeah, a very, very good offensive display, defensive display, and a lot of questions that we had in the pregame show were answered, which we'll get to later in the show. We had some questions offensively about the ball being spread around. Well, it certainly was spread around well tonight. We had some questions about their ability to stop the run. You saw a much better job against the run. Did Minnesota sort of, enable that? Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit. But a lot of the questions that we had coming off a win, remember we said it was a weird week this week in Delaware. I felt like a win that didn't really feel like a win because there was a lot of complaining about how the Eagles won. But certainly there will not be that many. There will be no complaints this week coming off a thrashing of the Minnesota Vikings. We mentioned Devontae Smith, one of the important players of the game. I want to tell you about Devontae Smith and a company called N State. You know, he's called the Slim Reaper. The Slim Reaper is officially entering the footwear space. That's right. Devontae Smith is releasing his own signature sneaker this Saturday, and they're beautiful. He's teamed up with N State, which is a Boston-based sneaker company, to release his own silhouette in his own colorways. Did you guys know that Smitty's colors his favorite colors are blue and pink? Trey, I think you noticed that when you saw him coming into the stadium. He might have said some Easter bunny type. Yeah, well, his favorite colors are blue and pink.
That's cool. Likes. Hey, I mean, wear it with confidence. I mean, you go out there and you have a game like that, you wear what you want.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you got to check out those sneakers. And of course, there is a Kelly Green version as well. So head on over to nstate.io now for more information on the sneaker drop and all the crazy things that come with them. Because let me just add this. This is a lot more than any sneaker you've ever seen across or come across. I'll give you guys a little hint. When Smitty scores his first touchdown, right, you'll win a cheesesteak if you get involved with this. So just go check it out now at nstate.io. You won't regret it. So how about that, Smitty getting into the sneaker space already? Good for him.
Good job.
Good for him. Yeah. All right, let's talk about the sneakers on the offensive side because so what we saw right off the bat was a different sort of attack plan from the Eagles based on what I suspect was the defense that they were expecting. They played a lot more 11 personnel right from the gate. Quez Watkins, 3 wide receivers. Didn't seem like they were worried so much, Trey, about the Vikings coming after them the way the Lions did. They didn't need that extra blocking, and they were right because the Vikings really did not come after them. Was that a little bit of a surprise for you?
A little bit, yeah. Well, because you saw what he did against Detroit, where you didn't want to come at them too much because Jalen can hurt you. He'll get outside of the pocket and start scrambling. So I knew that they were going to just try to kind of keep him in front of them. But I thought that the offensive line just did a really good job of protecting. I know they came out of there with a couple sacks, and then once he starts scrambling, it's kind of hard. Do you call that a sack or is it a tackle for a loss? Because to me, it's a sack.
It depends on whether you're stopped behind the line of scrimmage or not, right?
Yeah, if it's behind the line of scrimmage, to me, that's a sack.
That's a sack.
And I'm kind of like, oh man, at the end of the day, that's gonna go to your offensive line. Yeah, but I mean, I think that the guys overall did a really good job of protection. You saw a couple times, where we talked about those zone reads where they were getting upfield, a couple penalties there. But I thought overall they came out there and imposed their will against this defensive front, especially with some big runs with Miles Sanders up there, Boston Scott taking one right up the middle. So it felt like it was a really total domination by this offense.
Yeah, that's a good point, by the way. When he pulls the ball and runs as a runner on read option or RPO, and he gets stopped behind the line of scrimmage. I'm not sure if they call that a sack. I mean, he was sacked 3 times tonight, but I do remember a couple of pocket sacks where he kind of, was in and around there. So we'll have to get some official ruling on that. But Adam, let's talk about Jalen Hurts. When he is protected like that, as he was, and Trey made a great point, I think it all started with the offensive line and the protection and Minnesota's 4-man rush not really getting home. You saw him, I'd say, brilliantly pick apart the defense, methodically spreading the ball out to every. This is probably the best version of Jalen Hurts that we've seen as a passing quarterback.
Yeah, in fact, the thing that shocked me, again, I'm just going by what I saw, and we'll find out what the tape looked like. If the Vikings blitz, I didn't see it, which is ridiculous.
Agreed.
I mean, they played too deep a lot, which is, I know, the Fangio signature. I thought the Vikings completely got out coached. I thought Shane Steichen called a phenomenal game in the first half. It was pass, mix the run in. Pass, mix the run in. That's great coaching. You always come out throwing more in the first half. That's the way you should do it. Now, the penalties, they had a lot the previous game. I think they had at least 10 in this game, which is not good. The three 3 illegal man downfield. You can't have that. The Vikings wound up getting one. But I just thought Hurts was absolutely phenomenal. The first half, again, the second half, they had so many mistakes in the second half. And they also got bailed out by some bad, the Irv Smith drop for a clear touchdown. What a great dime that was. Because had a terrible game. That was a great throw.
Yeah.
But I think overall, you look at it, phenomenal first half by this football team in every way, shape, or form. And one more thing, Jonathan Gannon had maybe his best game as an Eagle, calling defense. Timely blitzes. A lot of them got home. They clearly, it's obvious in the 2 games. I hate to make blanket statements, but I'm going to make one. They cannot win without blitzing. They don't get enough pressure, though Fletcher Cox had a nice game. They're going to have to start. They're just going to have to be a team that's going to blitz more than they want to, and that showed. In the first game, their blitz percentage was up from last year. And I'm thinking before we get the numbers tomorrow, they probably were way up in this game because they're just not going to get home with a 5-man pressure.
No, they're not, and that sort of makes me spin the question to Ed Donatel, the defensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings. You got torn apart in the first half. You let the Eagles dictate what they wanted to do offensively, spread the ball around. Hurts was very, very rarely under pressure. And then they came out in the second half, and I don't know, Trey, but I didn't see a change in either scheme or strategy or play calling. It's sort of like the whole definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and expecting a different result. I don't know what to be more impressed with Shane Steichen, which I really was with his play calling and sequencing, or just completely shocked by Ed Donatel standing there. Ed Donatel did his 2021 Jonathan Gannon impression.
Yeah, we just didn't send anyone. And I think that just overall, we just executed really well tonight. We had our way with what we wanted to do out there as an offense and also mixing some run in. So I think that it was more on just our execution. They didn't want to blitz us just because we were picking them apart. So, right. And they just didn't want to give up that big over-the-top play because you knew that Roof would have just blown up, even though you gave up the Haskins, but you didn't want to give up any more after that. It's like, all right, we're good. All right, they got us there. We'll make sure we play back because we don't want Brown getting his, and then we definitely don't want the Slim Reaper taking us over the top as well. So let's just kind of play back and just try to keep everything in front of us.
Well, I thought one thing I think was really interesting that stood out from this game, guys, is, and we talked about this last year for the first 6 games, we felt that the coaches, there wasn't great sequencing. In other words, play number 1, the best play callers, Trey, is with Andy Reid and you see it with Mike Shanahan, plays number 1, 2, and 3 are intentional because they set up what you can do on plays 4, 5, and 6, and then what you can do on your second drive and your third drive. There's a lot of cause and effect to play calling for the best play callers. And I thought you saw that today with the Eagles offense with Shane Steichen, Kevin Patullo, Nick Sirianni. There was the third possession. If you remember, they came out, they ran a little bit, and then they had a delayed handoff to Boston Scott, and he gets dropped behind the line of scrimmage for -1. And you're like, oh, the momentum's gone. And then they came back with the exact same play call, but to Miles Sanders, caught the Vikings off guard. He got 9 yards to set up like 3rd and 1, which they were able to get. And then they went on and did a play action pass after that. And I just saw some beautiful symmetry to what they were calling early to how that allowed them to open it up late. And then you got to see run, short pass, deep pass. You got to see sort of Jalen Hurts attack all levels because he was successful with the run and then the first level, probably more so than even week 1.
And you know what? I misspoke, and it was just messing with my brain the whole time you were talking. I meant Quez Watkins.
You said what?
Play. I said Haskins. I don't even know, but I said Haskins.
You got Phillies fever. That's okay.
I was just all over the place. Yeah, I was all over the place. But yeah.
No, but definitely. But speak to the play calling, Trey, because you've been around the best in Andy Reid.
I thought he kept everything on time. It's like, all right, here comes the run. All right, here comes the short pass. Here comes the deep pass. There was one time where you thought that, all right, hey, this is going to be Brown that's going to catch it, but he actually went over him and went to Smith. I mean, I thought that there were a lot of different levels to it, and I thought that they just did everything to keep everything ahead of the downs, and they didn't force anything.
Yeah. Adam, who do you think the offense ran through tonight?
Oh,
A.J. Brown.
No, it was Hurts, but I'll say this. I think you mentioned this, one of the two of you guys mentioned this during the pregame show with Avant. They started off getting it to the Slim Reaper very early and often. I love that.
Yes.
Getting him involved. But another note that we have to mention this. This is good because Jeff, you and I were talking, and I was kind of laughing how when Sirianni said he didn't want to finish in the bottom 10 of anything, including pre-snap motion. Well, I guess tonight they want to make up for it because they did at least 2 overt motion, a decent amount of pre-snap motion. So they did it. That was good to see, and it definitely caught them by surprise. In fact, I have no idea what the heck happened in the second half. They all sorts of problems, but the fact of the matter is, you saw the best of this offense in the season plus 2 games that they've been here. This is the best offense they put together for a half. It was phenomenal. I love the play calling. I think we would probably all agree. The execution was near flawless in the first half. They certainly can build off that. They'll make their corrections, obviously. As Trey knows, nothing's ever perfect. But when you protect like that, man, and some of the throws that hurts me. In fact, the best throw of the night was technically a drop to Goddard. What a great throw! In fact, that was a tough catch for Goddard, but it was a great dime. And the other throw in the second half was a holding penalty, I think, the one that to Watkins on the left sideline, which was a great throw. But that throw to Goddard was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, definitely. You know what, Trey? You mentioned the Super Bowl, and one of the things that stuck out about the 2017 offense is that even though it was very explosive, probably a little more so far than this one, that was a ball control offense that led the NFL for the second straight year, by the way, in time of possession. And as I look at the Eagles' first 6 possessions, they had 4 marches of at least 75 or more yards. Their first one was 87 yards. Their third one was 82. Their fifth was 85. And their sixth was 75. That was right before the half. I don't know why Kevin O'Connell took a timeout to try to get the ball back when he hadn't stopped the Eagles much of the first half, but rookie mistake. But this offense, the way you've seen the balance with the run, with the running backs, the run with Jalen Hurts, the passing game, it is doing just that. It's controlling the time of scrimmage. It is moving the ball methodically, and that helps your defense rest. But that's what I think it's hard to do that and not turn the ball over. But one interception tonight, in 2 games, they have 1 turnover, despite the fact that they've been marching methodically. To me, that's the key to everything right there.
Absolutely. Just staying ahead of the downs, not forcing anything. Just keep chugging along, pushing down the field, take your shots whenever you can, and get points on the board.
Yeah. I mean, there was an early, I think it was the first drive, right? They had the Eagles at 3rd and 16. And that to me was the biggest early statement, because the Vikings just sent a 4-man rush and then played too deep. The same coverage they played all night long. Hurts stood back there. He had plenty of time. And I think he hit A.J. Brown for 19 yards. And when I saw that, Adam, I thought, oh, there's no way Ed Donatell is going to play that defense again. And then here I am in the fourth quarter going, oh, my God, he's really playing that defense this entire
They got guys. I rarely say this. They got out coached. It was embarrassing.
They did.
In fact, one of the things, Jeff, on our preview show Friday, I said that one of the reasons why I picked the Eagles, the big reasons, I thought the crowd would have a lot to do with it. They seemed defeated, the Vikings, in the first half. Like they didn't want to be there. Trey, does that ever happen? You ever see that when you were at the link?
Yeah, because I really didn't pay attention to it, but you could see the body language of these guys when when you're watching the game. It just seemed like you were saying, like they were just like, all right, I'm ready to just get this over with. Let's go home, because this is not going to be a good game for us. We're ready to go, and you can see it in their body language as they were walking around on the field. These guys did not want to be in the link.
So let's wrap up the offense part of this with one thing. I'm going to make one observation. You guys tell me if you agree or disagree. Listen, how that I felt based on my pregame show comments that what you saw, if the Vikings were going to come in here and win, I thought they had to challenge the Eagles more with the run game early and then open it up. Now the Eagles showed some of that 5-man front early, and it looked like the Vikings were like, okay, when you do that, we're going to try to hit you on the seams, and sometimes they did, but I almost think they played into Jonathan Gannon's hands by checking out and trying to hit the short pass on the off coverage. It got them into a pass happy game plan, and they got away. Dalvin Cook had 4 runs by the middle of the third quarter. And I just thought that they lost their identity by trying to do that and got out of it. They almost kind of queued it up for the Eagles defense to succeed, because Gannon never had to worry about bringing that safety into the box to stop the run. So when they were passing, he was playing, if he didn't blitz, he was playing coverage.
Yeah.
So I just thought that they outsmarted themselves, the Vikings coaching staff.
Yeah, and then Dalvin Cook as a running back, I love him, Florida State guy, but he's not. To me, I see Dalvin Cook as the type of back where he has to hit his holes and then he's gone. He's not one of those shifty backs that's going to give you all those shakes. He's going to hit the hole and he's gone. But I think that we did a really good job of just playing gap control defense and just bottling him up, and now you just shut him down. But then, like you were saying, these guys were defeated already. All the drop passes. I thought, Reddick out there reading some of the screenplays. It just seemed to me that these guys just did not want any of this game.
No. They came to Philadelphia and found out, as people like to say.
Yeah.
All right. That was a great showing by the Eagles. Again, can't say enough about Jalen Hurts. Just methodical. Didn't rush himself. Made good decisions. Made good passes. Really, one of the best performances I've seen from him, if not the best.
One thing I want to add: Goddard and Stoll in the run game were terrific.
Yeah.
I know they played mostly 11, but what I could see, Stoll did a good job. But Goddard, he makes such an effort. I remember Mike Rowe telling me, the former Eagles receivers coach then, obviously, he said the thing about Goddard when he got him, he immediately got nosy in the run game. He's like, okay, I got to see to get on the field, I got to do this, and he's one of the better all-around tight ends of the league. Now they've got Smith, obviously, and Brown. You saw Watkins tonight. They have so many pass options. It's hard, man. Geoff, when you spread them out, if you don't have good corners, they're not very good at corner, by the way. This is what I said in the pregame. They don't run very well.
Right.
That's why they took their shot plays. In fact, I'm waiting for Devontae Smith. The one thing missing from his game is not his fault. I want to see him on some shot plays. We know Goddard is a vertical tight end from the slot, but we know A.J. Brown could do it somewhat, and Watkins certainly can, but Devontae Smith can run. I'd like to see him do that.
I would say, though, that I remember the book on the scouting report on Devontae coming out of Alabama was that he was a long strider with good but not great speed. In fact, I don't think he ran the 40, right? But that they felt that most scouts felt he was a second level, which is what you saw today, receiver, a guy who's, you don't want to throw him to him short. He's not going to do what A.J. Brown does, turn it into 50 yards on a 5-yarder, but he's also not necessarily the go get it deep threat contested. He's like a perfect deep post, deep over, hit that 15 to 25 yard type of catch because of his expertise route running and his ability to get separation at the top there. And I think that that's really going to be his role in this offense. Trey, would you say that, when you have a deep threat like Quez and AJ, he can be that and they can work off each other?
Absolutely. I mean, that's what you need. You need those different levels out there when it comes to spacing, and it just works. You don't want to make him something that he's not. Just go ahead and fit him into the scheme. You have what you need with Quez Walker, somebody that can take it over the top. You got Brown that can also do that. Now you need somebody that can catch those 15, 20 yarders as well. So I think it's perfect of what you want to do as an offense.
There you go. All right, we got to thank our friends at Manscaped. Remember to use the promo code ITB to get 20% off at checkout at manscaped.com. That's 20% off at checkout at manscaped.com. We're going to pause for a quick second to hear from our friends at Sky Motor Cars.
Sky Motor Cars in Westchester is a different sort of dealership. All it takes is one look at their Highline pre-owned vehicles that people all over the country want and need. Owner Brett Schiller, make sure you don't spend a dime of your money before you purchase the car. Sky Motor Cars allows you to make all the decisions regarding your next vehicle. At Sky Motor Cars, you never have to spend more than necessary. Visit SkyMotorCars.com today or call 610-918-7225.
All right, we're back here on ITB Inside the Birds Postgame Live. Myself, Geoff Mosher, Adam Caplan, Trey Thomas. And as we transition to the defense and wrap up what we saw, I got to say, if Jalen Hurts, if we consider him, the most important offensive player of the game, then on defense, you got to tip your cap to Darius Slay. I mean, he was ready for Justin Jefferson. He wasn't backing down to Justin Jefferson. He made a ton of big plays against Justin Jefferson. This is what the Eagles brought Darius Slay here for. His first year, he struggled. The whole team struggled that year, but he had a great year last year, and he's already come ready to play this year. Trey, Darius Slay tonight, as important as anybody on the field?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, he came out there and did exactly what you want to see as a secondary player. Was very aggressive. He played up close. I mean, really got into some press. was out there sitting on routes. I mean, you could tell like he was really in his zone. And the defense fed off of it. That's what you needed to kind of throw Kirk Cousins off. We are going into this game. We said, hey, man, we're going to have to do something different. What was that difference? It's throwing off the timing. And that's what the secondary did with Slay out there leading the charge.
Yeah, absolutely. Adam, you talked about Jonathan Gannon finally coming out of his comfort zone, right, a little bit, playing up a little bit more, blitzing a little bit more, forcing the issue. Yeah.
Yeah. They did press. They actually pressed. Listen, see what I said last week is no more Steven Nelson later. Okay, he's no longer here.
Right.
Start playing like you've got big time talent at the corner with now Bradbury and Slay, of course, and Vontae Maddox had a pick. Wow, Slay had 5 passes defense. That's a lot. He had a very good game. I'll tell you what. It probably won't show in the numbers, but Fletcher Cox played like a man tonight.
Yes.
He absolutely did. We talked about this in the pregame about he had to be embarrassed by that tape last week. It was poor. We talked to 3 people who saw the tape, and they all got on Cox over it.
Yep.
Based on what they just evaluating what the all 22 looked like. So he came out, and by the way, the second half, I don't know if you saw who started at D tackle. They put Jordan Davis in with Hargrave and Cox. Start the second.
Yeah.
In fact, the way they opened the game was a look that I don't think I've seen before. If I'm not mistaken, they opened the game with Hargrave head up over the center with Cox and it wasn't Jordan Davis, it was Hargrave, Cox, and I just know the overhangs were Haason Reddick and Kaiser White with the interior being Hargrave and Cox and somebody else. Maybe it was Milton Williams. I'm not remembering off the top of my head. It was just a look that I've not seen them play before, but I think it sort of went to show that I don't know if the coaches did on purpose where they're trying to say, like, listen, we said this in the pregame show. The answer to them being a better run defense was not simply just play Jordan Davis more snaps. It was be gap sound, be fundamental, have the right personnel out there. It's not always going to be Jordan Davis. And clearly they made a statement pretty early on, Trey, with how they were able. I mean, they were gap sound tonight. It looked to me.
Absolutely. They've been watching the show. They watched the pregame shows.
We called them out, man. Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Is everybody wearing braces?
No.
Trey, are they wearing knee braces?
No one ever wears knee braces anymore. I don't even say anything anymore about it.
All right. Well, 1 out of 2 ain't bad. They're still listening to you.
Yeah.
Do you think they took that personally, though? I mean, not what we said, serious, but the way the first game went, do you think that it was pretty natural they were going to come out and not be humiliated like that against the run?
Absolutely. And Fletcher Cox is the type of person that does not like people talking negative about his game.
No, he doesn't.
So he reads the clips. So, you start talking bad about Fletcher Cox, he'll call you. Hey, look here, man, I don't appreciate that. But
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Uh-oh.
But I mean, he came out there, and I think he did a really good job. He played well. That's what you want to see. I mean, that's the Fletcher Cox you want to see all the time. And to come out of there with a sack, there you go. That's what we want. You're going up against a rookie guard. Show your dominance. Be the animal that I know you can be.
Come on, John, you channel your inner grizzly bear, Fletcher Cox.
Do that. Do it.
The big game hunter. That's right.
Listen, he got after it. There's no question. Because the eye in the sky doesn't lie. You talk to players and coaches over the years. You go in and watch the tape, and it's the responsibility of the coach. In this case, would be Tracy Rocker,
right,
to point out, hey, listen, this is we can't have this.
Right.
Like you're making $14 million a year. You got to play better now. You got to get better effort, and he sure did. And I'll tell you another thing. We don't talk about T.J. Edwards enough. I'm going to want to.
I was just about to bring him up. I'm so glad you said it. Yeah.
I'm going to be wrong about this guy. I can't tell you. I don't know this guy. Whether the Kobe Dean draftee drafting him in the 3rd round got him. Not that he needed motivation. I'm not sure what the case is, but he doesn't come off the field much anymore. In fact, Kobe Dean, I didn't see him. He did not get on the scoreboard or even for a tackle. I got to tell you, T.J. Edwards is one of the most unlikely stories, guys, in years. I am stunned as an undrafted free agent. He is a player. He's not going away, folks. No one's going to drive this guy out of here.
Yeah, you can't hold down these Wisconsin linebackers, Adam. I mean, they're just built different. They've been fed corn since the day they were born, right? They're just like the linemen, and you can't get them off the field. So the second play of the game, to your point, Adam, right? Gannon came with a blitz. He came with a 5-man rush, and TJ leveled somebody. I don't know if it was the running back, but he just smacked that man like he had no family. And then later he had a pass breakup on the second drive. And then later in the second half or first half, he had another pass breakup across the middle. He's playing like a man possessed. He's been a fantastic story of perseverance. And Adam's right. Like I was right up there with Adam saying, as soon as they drafted Nakobe Dean, signed Kazir White, I said, you know what, TJ Edwards is going to be a really nice base linebacker in like 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 goal line, and then he'll never see the field. But you know what? He's proven a lot of people wrong. And it is amazing that we're already 2 weeks into the season and we don't talk about Nakobe Dean. When they drafted him, you would have thought that was the greatest draft pick in the history of the Eagles franchise because he fell to them in the 3rd round. And here, I think, Adam, he played 4 snaps last week. I think they're all on the goal line. That's literally only the time that Nakobe Dean's getting on the field.
Yeah, look, hey, it is what it is. That's okay. You know, it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, sure.
Edwards has been so good. He's keeping the guy off the field. We definitely need to talk about some of the problems they had tonight. We'll get to special teams and a couple other things. But
yeah,
defensively, I think Gannon now knows kind of what he has. Again, they're not going to win with 5-man pressure or 4-man pressure or 3-man pressure. Mm-hmm. He's going to have to blitz. You can't do it every play. This is not Don with Martindale here. You have to understand what you have. But and another thing, they're going to have to address the pass rush in next year's draft significantly. I mean, that's their number one need right now is pass rush help.
They need a defensive end, yeah, a pass rusher, right,
yeah.
Right. I would say, I would agree, Trey. I think you would probably agree too. You don't have to be at the top of the leaderboard in blitzing, but you know, just like Nick Sirianni said about motion, it's not probably good to be the last in the leaderboard in blitzing like they were last year. No. When you have players now, which they gave him, right, who are athletic and faster, whether it's Reddick or Kazir White or TJ Edwards in year 3 or 4, then you got to be able to show some trust in them. And I think he's finally starting to, not a lot. I'm curious to see how many blitzes in total he threw, because sometimes it looks more than it is, but the fact that he's just doing it situationally, you get him in second or you get him in that 3rd and 4 and 5 is to me represents a nice step forward.
Absolutely, man. And I think this game plan was approved, and Howie Roseman gave it his stamp of approval.
Now, which blitz do you think Howie called or drew up?
That ain't right.
Trey really is that dude calling up Sports Talk Radio with a pseudonym, man. I'm telling you.
That's actually very funny.
This game plan was Howie Roseman approved. I love it.
That's funny.
Trey, that route that Justin Jefferson ran that led to the interception, what happened there? With that, I mean, that's for a guy who's so talented, he seemed like to kind of surprisingly run a strange route and lay it up there for Darius Slay.
That's a young player going against a vet.
Yeah.
You know, because Jefferson, this is what, 3rd year?
It is his 3rd year. Feels like 5 now, but yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, this is still a young guy, a young receiver. And, you know, Slade been around for a little while. I think Slade saw what was going on. I mean, I'm telling you, to me, it just looked like Slade was in the meeting room all week studying film, understanding what steps he was going to bring, what routes he liked to run, and he jumped on all of them. I thought Slade just outperformed, just came out there and did what he had to do tonight.
He won it in the classroom.
Yeah, exactly. He won it in the classroom. That game was already won before he stepped out on the field because he had already studied his opponent to the point where he could sit on anything that was coming.
Right there with Howie.
Yes, right there with Howie. He was sitting in there with Howie, watching the film. Howie, this is what I'm thinking. What do you feel about this? You good with that? All right, cool. Let's go.
That's funny.
Adam, it was clearly Kirk Cousins' worst game against the Eagles. I mean, he has torched the Eagles in the past. I tell you, he's got more multiple touchdown games in the Eagles than he has 1 touchdown games against the Eagles. But they had him early on and they frustrated him.
Yeah, the Kevin O'Connell staff, they had a bad game. Kevin O'Connell, he didn't have a feel for it.
Yeah.
It just, I mean, going empty this is crazy. Like in the 3rd or 4th quarter, looking at my notes here, I forgot to write down which quarter it was. But anyway, they went empty 2 plays in a row. First of all, the Eagles blitzed to cause Cousins to throw the ball inaccurately. Then the next play, for some reason, they went empty again with no it's jet protection, right? Trey, 6-man jet.
Yes, 6-man. Yes, jet is a 6-man protector.
Jet protect. I don't understand. That's stupid.
I was stunned.
I don't know. I just thought Kevin O'Connell was overmatched. I got to give the Eagles credit.
Yeah.
We crushed the Eagles coaching staff last week for some of the problems that they had. They still won. But some of the things where we thought they didn't do a good job, we pointed out. But I got to tell you, I don't put a lot on the coaches with the dumb penalties in the second half. They got to be sharper. The players have to be a little sharper. But I thought the Eagles coaching staff really had it going on in this game.
Agree. When they look back, the Vikings will look back on this game and say, wait a minute, how is it that Jalen Reagor had as many rushing yards as Dalvin Cook?
Ooh.
Something went wrong there.
Yeah.
Went drastically wrong there.
Yes.
All right, we're going to just talk about a few things that didn't go right. We'll clean it up and then call it a night because it's been a great post-game show and everyone wants to celebrate that. But first, we're going to pause to hear from our friends at Rivers Casino and Sportsbook.
Game night for me is every night. At the place where I meet up with the guys, grab a cold one, and watch the big game on the big screen. So whether it's the money line, the pass line, or a parlay, I'm in it to win. This is my city, and this is my place.
All right, big thanks to Rivers Casino and Sportsbook, also the host of our pregame show. Make sure you're placing all your bets at Rivers Sportsbook and Casino or on the Bet Rivers app, and then come down and see the pregame show next Sunday at Jack's Bar and Grill. I'll be there. Adam will be there. Jason Devon. We're going to have a great time. And, of course, the postgame show will be me, Adam, and Trey Thomas once again. A couple of things that sort of stuck out to me. Now, they cleaned it up, but, Trey, I really want to hear your thoughts on this. They really struggled with them RPOs early on having too many men downfield. Is that the quarterback was holding on to the ball a little bit too long? Or, like, as a lineman, how do you not run downfield on an RPO when that's sort of the design of the play?
Well, I think that this was a big emphasis that was probably sent to the referees. I think that there were videos that were sent to the referees, and it was a big, hey, look, this is what's going on. You got to call it. You got to call it. You got to call it in. It just happened. I mean, this was your week to get caught. We'll get back to being normal next week. Don't even worry about it. This is just a big emphasis this week.
Yeah, that's true. The Lions, you're saying, are sent all the tape, and then in doing so, yeah, they were actually helping their foes, the Minnesota Vikings, which is a little strange. But I had a feeling when they were calling out that was probably the case. But they did clean it up, so that was good to see going on. But in general, Adam, they've been penalized quite a bit these first two games, whether it's the false starts, the holdings, and downfield.
They had 8 in this game, and it seemed like they had 15. It's just the untimeliness of it. It's just they shot themselves in the foot. This is a game where, if I didn't look at the score, I would have thought the Eagles would have won 41-0. They moved the ball at will. Right. In fact, look, you scored 24 points in a half. You're really doing well, but they didn't score in the second half. So, so the coaches will tell you there's some bad tape in the second half, mistakes, missed assignments.
Yeah. The
Gainwell interception. Gainwell's got to pay attention. That ball, I know some people on Twitter and social media were like pissed off that they ran that play. Guess what? It was Gainwell's got to catch. He's got to be aware that the screen was there. It was in his hands. Catch the football.
Yeah, I know. I sort of chuckled at Troy Aikman saying it was a risky play to run because if it's execute, I mean, you catch the ball, you're fine. It's a big game.
I just thought that it's a good. The good thing is it's all correctable. They'll be better. They play Washington this Sunday in Washington. A team that they know, quarterback that they know. At least the players know, maybe not most of the coaches, but they've set themselves. Just to move this along here, they've set themselves up really well for winning this game. You see so much good though came out of this game. Their line really rebounded, but Ed Donatel helped because he refused to blitz. I don't know what the hell he was thinking. Like, you got to try. I guess the book now, guys, is you're so worried about Hurts running the football. And you saw that on the RPOs because you saw them going the wrong way. Boy, he had a couple where he held it perfectly and pulled it and ran. They went the wrong way. I mean, Hurts had it going on, man. That first half was phenomenal.
Yeah. But if I were to ask you guys, even though the Eagles have won both games, which game seemed a little bit more difficult for Jalen Hurts? Which game seemed a little bit more of a workload? Would it be the Lions game or would it be the Vikings game?
I think the Lions game was a little bit more of a workload.
I would agree.
Sure.
The Lions were a couple of inches at times away from dropping Jalen Hurts, and then he's brilliant as a runner, so he turned it in. But I guess my point was, I would not have taken the anti-Lions approach and just played coverage all game. I would have, as Adam just said, at least throw 5 men on a blitz. I know you're afraid about leaving A.J. Brown, so you can throw a 5-man rush and still give yourself some coverage on the back end. He just completely threw the white flag there and said, "I'm going to let Jalen pick me."
Pretty much.
So yeah, that didn't work very well.
No.
One last thing, Haason Reddick. Now again, it gets overshadowed because the Eagles won and won big, but 2 straight weeks where we have seen opponents isolate at times when they think he's going to be or determine that he has to drop into coverage. And coverage is not his forte. I know that Jonathan Gannon lied to everyone and said that he's excellent in coverage. We know that's not true. And I'd never even heard of Johnny Munt until he caught that 17-yard pass.
He used to be the Rams as a backup. He's just a blocking tight end. And he made that move on. It's so funny you mentioned that. He made that move on Reddick. He picked him out of his shoes here. So look. I know we talked in the pregame about maybe he can't play Joker in this defense. Well, you know what? You're going to have to figure out something, Jonathan Gannon, because it's not working the way you're using him.
Right.
And $15 million a year to get to the quarterback, and they've got to figure it out.
Yeah, Trey, I mean, you saw on that drive, they were looking to get that matchup at that point, and then they got it. And so we saw that the Lions were able to do that in the second half a couple of times as well. One of these days, the game's going to, last week was close. In a close game, that could be the kind of play where you just think to yourself, man, I just can't have that kind of a mismatch on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. But, I thought that he has a couple good rushes out there tonight.
Definitely.
He came in, gave the tackle a nice little one-hand stab, got low, took the edge, was working a couple spin moves. So he had a couple of nice rushes, did a really good job on picking up some of the screens out there. So I thought he was active. He was active. It was a lot better than what we saw from last week.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, that's going to wrap that up. Fellas, it's already past midnight, so it's Washington week. Carson Wentz is coming back. We got a lot to talk about this week.
It's Washington,
What's that?
It's at Washington, right?
Well, it's at is it? I can't remember where the game is in now, but one day at a time. But still, it is Washington week, so it's going to be a fun one. We're going to look forward to breaking that one down as well, and I'm sure that's going to be a big topic of conversation this week with Carson Wentz up on the slate. That'll be a Sunday 1:00 game. And we will have it all covered throughout the week with the podcast, the pregame show, and the postgame show. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Thanks to Manscaped, Rivers. Thanks to our friends at Sky Motor Cars and N State. For Trey Thomas, for Adam Caplan, I'm Geoff Mosher. You've been watching Inside the Birds Postgame Live.